Good morning. Now, our maths warm-up today is all about practicing your long multiplication skills. And for this, you need to be able to remember your multiplication facts, and also you need to remember about place value, whether you're multiplying by ones, tens or hundreds. So, you have been given these 4 digits. I want you to try and work out the biggest number you can make by multiplying these digits together. Now, there will be lots of different options. You could try 507 multiplied by 8. You could try 57 multiplied by 80. You could try 805 multiplied by 7. So there's going to be a lot of practice before you come up with an answer that is going to be the highest number you can think of. If you fancy a challenge, instead of multiplying together these 4 digits, you could try multiplying together 5 digits. And just remember, in each sum, you need to have used all 4 digits for the top one or all 5 digits for the bottom one. Stop the video and give it a go. Now, I would like to play today. I'm thinking of a polygon where I describe a shape to you and you can draw it. But before we start, I think we just need to ask ourselves the question, what is a polygon? So a polygon is in fact a 2D shape with at least 3 straight sides. So I know that all of these shapes on the wheel are polygons because they are all 2D, they're flat. They all have at least 3 straight sides and 3 angles. And we're talking about the internal angles of the shapes. So based on that, is a circle a polygon? And the answer is no, it isn't. It's 2D, but it doesn't have at least 3 straight sides or 3 angles. These shapes are also polygons. So what's the difference? Well, if you look at the shapes that are arranged over here, you will notice that all of the sides are the same length. This hexagon has 6 sides the same length. This quadrilateral has 4 sides the same length. So we call these polygons regular polygons. If we look at the polygons over here, they have more than 3. They have 3 or more straight sides and angles, and they're 2D, but the sides are all different lengths. So we call these polygons irregular polygons. Now, if we're going to describe a polygon, we need to use some specific vocabulary so that we can describe that polygon in detail. So I'm just going to go through the different ways that you may describe a polygon. And first of all, you could look at the number of sides. And this is purely a counting exercise. How many sides does the shape have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one has 8 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one has 7 sides. And based on the number of sides of a polygon, we can give it a name. So obviously a triangle has 3, quadrilateral 4, pentagon 5, hexagon 6, heptagon 7 and octagon 8. Which shape in the picture is a pentagon? What colour is it? So once you've looked at the number of sides on your shape, you then look at the length of the sides. And really you're looking to see, are they the same length, in which case it's a regular polygon, or are they different lengths, in which case it is an irregular polygon? Can you spot a regular polygon? Write down the colour of it. Can you spot an irregular polygon? Write down its colour. When you've you've looked at the number of sides and the length of the sides, you then need to look at the relationship of the sides. And in order to describe their relationship, you need to use some specific vocabulary. So let's have a look at it. First of all, are the sides parallel? Do they follow the same course? Now I can see straight away that this top edge and bottom edge are parallel. They follow the same course. So that's one way you could describe if a shape has any parallel sides. How many pairs of parallel sides does it have? The next thing you need to look at, are there any perpendicular sides? This means, are there any sides where one side meets another at a right angle? So I can see straight away that we've got two sides meeting here at a right angle. We've also got two sides meeting here at a right angle. Okay, what else could we use to describe the shape? Well, adjacent. If you wanted to describe two sides that are next to each other, you could say the adjacent sides. So if I was describing these two, I'd say the adjacent sides are the same length. So let's add on here. These are adjacent. These two sides are adjacent. These two sides are adjacent. Adjacent just means next to. And finally, you could use the word opposite to describe the sides of your polygon. The parallel sides are obviously opposite in this arrowhead here. So that's three ways of looking at the sides. What else could we look at in a polygon when we're describing it? So we could look at the number of angles in the polygon. So that's purely a counting exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 inside that quadrilateral there. But once you've looked at the number of angles, you could then move on to describing the type of angles. So let's have a quick revision of the different types of angle that you might find in a polygon. First of all, are there any right angles in your polygon? Now, I can see, because I've actually measured it, but this tip of the arrow is actually a right angle there. And I'm talking about the internal angle here. Then I'm having a look to see, are there any acute angles? And these are angles that are less than a right angle. So you can see this would be a right angle. Are there any angles that are less than that? And I can spot two on this arrowhead, there and there. Then I'd have a look to see, are there any obtuse angles, which are angles that are more than 90 degrees. So here is our right angle. I'm looking for angles that are more than that. So I can spot these two angles that are definitely obtuse angles. So far I can say my arrowhead has one right angle, two obtuse angles and two acute angles. Can any of you remember the name for the internal angle here? This is a reflex angle, and it's an angle that's more than 180 degrees, so more than a straight line, and we know that the arrowhead has one reflex angle. Okay, next you could talk about the symmetry or not of your polygon. I can see that I have a regular hexagon on the left hand side, and I can definitely see that it's symmetrical. This means I could fold it and the two sides would match. But if I look at this quadrilateral here, I can't see anywhere that I could fold where the two sides would match. So this shape is symmetrical, this shape is not symmetrical. Once you've had a look at your shape to see if it's symmetrical or not, you could then describe how many lines of symmetry it has. A regular hexagon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different lines of symmetry. And there will be many regular shapes that have more than one line of symmetry. Sometimes, particularly the equilateral triangle, you might need to just pretend you're spinning the shape around, and then you'll see the lines of symmetry a little bit more easily. And the final way you could describe your polygon is by looking at the diagonals. Diagonals are lines that are drawn from corner to corner. And what I'm looking at, I'm looking to see what happens where the diagonals cross. And I can see in this square that where those diagonals cross, there are right angles. So I'd say where the diagonals cross, they form a right angle. Now, this doesn't happen in every shape. If you have a look at the diagonals on this rectangle, there are no right angles where they cross. We've got two obtuse angles, which will be the same because they're opposite, and two acute angles, which will be the same. And this is similar in this parallelogram here. Now, armed with all this knowledge and a reminder of the different ways you could describe a polygon, can you write down at least 5 statements about this shape? You can always go back through the video if you're not sure what some of these relate to. Stop the video and have a go at using that specific vocabulary to describe this shape. So, let me share with you how I would describe this shape. So first of all, looking at the number of sides, I would say it has 4 sides. Therefore, it is a quadrilateral. Okay, now I need to look at the length of the sides. Okay, so opposite sides are equal in length. So I'm really amalgamating the length of the sides and the relationship. I can also say that it has a pair of parallel sides there and a pair of parallel sides there. So it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Okay, we can also see that here, where these 2 sides meet, is a right angle. So I know that the sides are perpendicular to each other. Okay. Right, what's next on our list? The number of angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're talking about the internal angles. It has 4 angles and they're all 90 degrees, all right angles. Four angles, all 90 degrees. Okay, what was next? The types of angles, we've already said that. The diagonals, right, let's draw in the diagonals. Whoops, my ruler's not quite long enough, but I can get the idea. Okay. Now what I'm interested in is what happens where the diagonals cross. And I can see that I've got 2 obtuse angles there, which are equal. And with a different colour, I've got 2 acute angles, which are equal. So I can put here where the diagonals cross, there are 2 obtuse angles and 2 acute angles. finally, symmetry. So, can I see any lines of symmetry? Well, I can definitely fold the shape, whoops, down here, and that side would mirror that side. I can definitely fold the shape horizontally, and that side would mirror that side. However, it is a rectangle. If you fold it along this diagonal, it is not symmetrical. And if you fold it along that diagonal, it is not symmetrical. So I can say this shape has two lines of symmetry. And finally, if I wanted to, I could actually name the shape. It is a rectangle. So now we can go back to the original game that I wanted to play, which is I am thinking of a polygon. I have written some descriptive statements about a polygon, and I would like you to use those statements, to use that description to draw this polygon on a piece of paper. So stop the video while you have a go at this. So this was the shape I was thinking of. Let's just check. Is it a polygon? Yes, it has more than 3 straight sides. It's 2D. 2 right angles, 2 obtuse angles, 1 acute angle. It has 1 pair of parallel sides. The parallel sides are the same length. It's symmetrical. I could fold it down the middle. And it is an irregular shape, yes, because the sides are not the same length. Okay, so your work today is all about describing shapes. If you head over to Google Classroom, you'll see a sheet with some shapes on, and I'd like you to pick the shapes that you'd like to describe, and I'd like you to use all of this vocabulary to give me some information about your shapes. There is only one sheet for everybody today, but just to remember, if you are struggling with the meaning of some of these terms, you can always look back through this video to remind yourself.